Hey yo, what up? So here's the deal. I'll make exactly this one lower effort video as sort of an addendum to the previous one. I realize there's currently no sets that don't use pretty cracked Gog Argent rolls, and I don't think I'll find the time to optimize around budget rolls in video form before next year. Since there's more eyes than I'm used to on my math, there's also been more questions as to what to do when you don't get them. The answer is more Gog. So to make exactly Gog less painful, this here is a dedicated budget Anti-Gog set, and all the footage is one hunt against exactly Gog. Deal? Awesome. The set in question is this one. For the weapon, it's an ally file with 3 element and 2 sharpness rolls. You don't need to get them in X, and sharpness should be your priority if you decide to gamble for it. As for the set, just make sure it's upgraded and awakened if possible, as that'll make you die less. It's also the only thing that'll do that, as there is no comfort here, and frankly, I don't think you'll need it. Gog is overall pretty easy, and outside of one-shotting or true comboing you from full, there's very little that's actually dangerous or defensively annoying in his kit. You can use a fire weapon to make phase 1 go by a bit quicker, but personally speaking, I'm too lazy for that. The NPCs I bring have no decision making behind them, I just took the ones that say they heal me. Attacking the head early on is something I do, because it lets me get a counter into Heavenward, and I don't have to chase it around all that much. But is something that can be optimized in gameplay. As much as I like going in depth about that, today's not that type of day. Something to note about that slam is that you can offset it, kinda. You don't get the topple, nor the heavy slam follow-up, but it completely negates the damage anyway. Whether that's intentional or not is a speculation that's well beyond my pay grade. You'll see me whiffing a whole bunch throughout this hunt. I'm not very good at Gog yet. At this point you can clearly see something unusual on screen, being this little widget here primarily. This is a DPS tracker, which is neat and all, but the primary function I use this for becomes clear later as it tracks uptimes too. For Gog, that's a little messy with all the phase changing and non-attacking damage if you go through the motions and use the sci-fi Dragonator and rocks, but it's good enough. Due to the uneven ground, some moves just straight up miss you, which is the reverse issue I've had with Amatsu and Sunbreak, funnily enough. Generally speaking, getting comfortable with the counter is really good in this hunt and will carry over to other targets as well. I don't know why I keep trying to time my rolls to the slam, as to my knowledge you can't iframe it due to the long hurt box, but I'd be happy to be proven wrong about that. Nice rock, Miss Ito to LMAO. Now that one of the gunner NPCs have softened up Gog, the actual damage of this set starts showing. I think that state lasts about 45 seconds to a minute. Overall, all the chasing really hurts max might, but I'm sure someone better at this than I can find ways to optimize the matchup. If you do end up bringing a fire weapon, make sure to use Mind's Eye, as his arms hit zones are 40. As you can see, 2 sharpness EX rolls get me barely into phase 2 without having to sharpen. My game plan for this phase is relatively simple. Rock early to get damage on the back, then hit the arms for a topple and hopefully get that cannon loose in 1. Then do that whole shtick and squeeze some damage in here and there. Spoiler, I do not get the cannon in 1. Most of this phase is super scripted, but I think some moves he does depend on where you are and who or what he targets. Coalescence is really showing its value here with all the sources of Fire Blight. The high damage he deals also helps turning latent power back on, as seen here. There's a topple, so we target the back. As I spoiled already, I did not get the cannon in 1. But luckily the second topple wasn't far off. During this, I tend to go for the furthest, totally not a power cable. He'll get back up and raw, which means you only have to deal with 1 attack instead of multiple if you do decide to go for it later. If you interact with it at all, even. NPC will grab the middle line, so I can comfortably go for the close one and get back to hitting him a few times before the Ancient Technology Railgun TM has finished charging. I could swear that was the plot of an episode of Evangelion. The arms are his best hit zone, so we stick to that here instead of going for the back. Even if you fire the laser, there's still a minimum amount of damage that he has to have taken, so I finished the combo before going there just in case. I like pulling the lever when he's leaving, for no real purpose other than that I can. And every time I'm disappointed, it's a meat hammer and not a Dragonator proper. Long travel phase, yada yada. I'm a little traumatized by this hunt going on forever and running out of fancy space laser rocks, so I grab on off of Gog on the way up. About halfway through the hunt, this marks the beginning of phase 3. I typically use power files, so out of habit I grab Power Axe, but it doesn't really do anything here. Someone gave me the tip that after the initial puddles you can pretty safely just chill underneath him and yeet rocks, so that's what I do. I'm really bad at aiming them though. Here I just want amp, so I'm fine hitting whatever. I'm also going for the tail cut this hunt, just because I figure it's a better simulation of what people will actually use the set for, being, you know, grinding Gog. And sooner or later those gems come in handy. Actually, I'm not even sure if they can be carved from the tail. I generally try to get greedy during the sweeping beam, but got skill issued this time. I'm not quite sure why the beam went through me here, without interacting with me at all. That roll was way too late. Generally speaking, it's safer to just Superman dive it. During Nova, every hit zone is the same, and you can greed a little longer if you stick to the tail. Sometimes the beam will hit you there, so I counter just to be safe, still working on that positioning. After the nuke goes off, there's no more damage interaction, so you can go straight back in. This little bit here showcases something important for us. Whether by bug or intentionally, The oil puddles don't significantly hinder our attacks that also move us, for some reason.
Incoming! Look alive! Back on your feet?
Roughly at this point I want to stop attacking the tail, knowing it'll come off soon, so I switch my focus on the wing arms instead. If you don't need mats, you'll just go for the wing arms from the get-go. Only to immediately forget that game plan, hit the tail and cut it anyway. Oops. If you don't need to cover large distances, roll morph is preferred over the forward overhead morph, as they have the same damage output, but roll morph is a little bit faster. I'm a big hater of that fire rain in particular. As long as you meet the check, the nuke isn't super painful, luckily. At this point, I think he's at 1 HP, as that's typically where he's at roundabout after doing a Nova while Scald for me. But he had a little bit more than that left in him this time. And there he goes. I'd expect with a little bit of practice that this set could do Gog with NPCs in about 15 minutes, maybe even faster. This was my second attempt. I got too embarrassed about my first karting in phase 1. Oopsie. Here's the set again. If you were to upgrade this, I'd probably start by rolling gore onto the weapon, as those pieces are horrible. Theoretically speaking, guts could fit on this set for an extra damage boost, but that's approaching god roll territory, which we're trying to avoid here. And that's the screen I'd like to talk about. The second, my main use case for this mod, uptimes. It's a little janky with the phase transitions and all the non-weapon damage, so the truth is somewhere in the middle. But we're looking at around 60% for coalescence, 65% for latent power, 75-ish% for Counter-Strike, a very desperate 17 and 45-ish split for burst stages 1 and 2, a surprising 45% for peak performance, which I played into a little bit evidently, 64%-ish for Agitator and Gogma Apocalypse, and vaguely that ballpark for Gore 2-piece. Ultimately, this could have been played much better, and I'm somewhat confident that there is an easy 3 to 5 minutes to be shaved off, if not more, with some practice. So if you're looking for a budget Gog set, this might be for you. Just be mindful that there's not exactly much room for comfort on here, but I think it's clear that it also isn't very needed on him either. Lastly, I'd like to thank you for this. This is now a number I never need to analyze again. I'm not one for milestone specials, nor am I going to sit here and give you any of that love you stuff people tend to do, but I'm grateful for the support you're showing me, and I'll do my best to not let that go wasted. Thank you. And also thank you to this guy for the shoutout that didn't go unnoticed. Smile. Also sorry to you specifically. We'll return to the norm with the next one.